Everybody, what's up? God bless you. The Bible talks about pruning, right? God prunes us. I'm here right by my peach tree that I got to prune. It's the winter season, so you prune it during its season. So that's how God does to us. There's seasons in our lives where God works to prune us. So what I'm looking at over here is I'm looking for two things in particular: dead wood and diseased wood. He who has an ear, let him hear what I got to say. So a lot of times you got disease, just regular wood you want to cut off that's growing too much. You see that? That's growing, it's just, you got wood that's growing toward the inside of the tree. So a lot of little small ones. Why? Because when it starts to flower, it's gonna cross each other and infect itself. A lot of oxygen doesn't flow. Same thing with spirituality, right? So I'm looking at diseased wood. It's not dead. As you can see, there's still green in it, right? It's not dead, but I gotta prune it off. It looks like it's alive, but it's diseased. And then I'm looking for dead wood. Let me see if I find some dead wood on here, which I know I have a lot. And usually that's wood that it grew fruit last year. This year it might not grow no fruit. So I want the fresh, new branches that came out this year, next year to produce fruit for me. So I don't want to mess over no dead wood. Here's some dead wood here. Look, I'll show you a few of them. If you look, they're skinny, but they're dry. They're brittle. There's no greenery. I don't know if you can see that. That's just brown. It's just dead. There's no juice, spirituality growing into those. Then you have others that are they're still good, like that. See, it's green a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a difference between the green and the brown wood. So anyway, I take my big tree here and I continue to prune and cut this big peach tree. You see that? Sometimes it requires for me to make big cuts. Here, in that case, God will use a different weapon. In this case, I would use a different tool, just like God uses tools in our lives to shape and sharpen us and make us grow spiritually. This tree here, when I'm done with it, is gonna look like pretty sad. And it's because I know what I'm doing here and I see the future of this tree. I see the end product. Whereas you come to my backyard, you'd be like, what are you doing to your tree? So it's the same thing with spirituality. Sometimes what God's doing in our lives, we don't see the end product. We don't see the fruit of God's labor in our lives. And there are times that we grumble and well, God, I might not be doing it right. I'm not spiritually mature, or I failed God. No, God's working with you. Different tools. In this case, I'm using my pruner. I also got a saw I use back here. Sometimes I might have to use a ladder to get into my bigger trees. You see this tree here? These are pretty big. That's a jujube tree. It's a different fruit, right? Different fruit, different trees require different weapons, different tools. It's the same thing what God does in our lives. You can't compare one tree to another. That's a jujube tree. This is a peach tree. This is one peach tree. I have another peach tree right here behind me. That one there, it's a different type of peach. All right, it's a different type of peach. Then I have a few trees back there, peach trees, but I don't compare one to the other. Spirituality, a lot of times we do that. We decide to compare our fruits with someone else's fruits, right? That's what we do sometimes, Over here, I got an avocado tree. I don't prune that one, I leave it. Down here, I got a little mini orange tree right here. See that? That's what that fruit tree is doing right now. Oh, almost got poked in the eye. Behind me, it's an orange tree. I get hundreds of oranges of that per year. Each tree is a different fruit. This is a guava, pineapple guava. Behind me, I got plum trees. When you look at it, it's a hot mess. That greenery you see right there? See that green right there? That green thing coming out? That's not part of the tree. That's not part of the tree. That's a vine that came up from the ground. Sometimes in our lives, we have things that are not part of us. They interweave itself in our lives and they grow in our lives until we cut it off at the root. So that there, I'll go to the bottom, cut it off, and those branches will wither away. Then I got mini peach trees right here. Those are dwarf. Spirituality, we can't compare ourselves to others. You might not be a spiritual giant. You might be a spiritual dwarf with a lot of fruit. You might be a spiritual giant, but your tree might come down. Because why? You're not grafted at the right place. You're not grafted to Christ. Anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. I'm just out here pruning, and it brought me back to how God uses different tools in our lives to prune us, to make us grow in His season. Why? Because He sees the end product. Because what Christ did was enough for us. And don't ever forget that. God bless you.